If a reduction in aggregate supply is followed by an increase in aggregate demand, which of the following will definitely occur? So let's draw out a supply and demand curve. We'll have quantity on the x-axis and price on the y-axis. Then we'll have our supply and demand curves. So we'll have our aggregate supply and our aggregate demand. Aggregate supply is always upward sloping, aggregate demand is always downward sloping. So the question says there is a reduction in aggregate supply. So that means the aggregate supply curve shifts to the left. So we can draw this curve shifting to the left. That's our new aggregate supply curve. And there is an increase in aggregate demand. So our aggregate demand curve is going to shift to the right. So now our old equilibrium point was here. Now our equilibrium point is up here. So we see that this is clearly a price increase. We see we went from one price level on the x-axis, on the y-axis, to a new price level on the y-axis. So price obviously increased. But how do we know that so if we read the question carefully, it says here which will definitely occur. We know for a fact that the price level will increase, but the problem is, what about output? Because if we draw this graph here, we have aggregate demand, aggregate supply. Here in this graph, because aggregate supply and aggregate demand, they roughly increased and decreased by the same amount. So the quantity did not change. We see that the price just changed, but the quantity remained the same. Thing is, if we draw our increase in aggregate demand, say it's a very large increase, and our decrease in aggregate supply is very small, then that means the equilibrium point moves more towards the right, meaning our output level is higher than what it used to be at this equilibrium point compared to this one. So depending on the actual change, which ones, whether they're equal, greater than each other, or less than each other, the output can either increase, decrease, or not change. So that means that we don't know whether the output will increase, decrease, or not change. We don't know if they will definitely occur. But we know that the price, no matter how we draw our curves, the price is always going to increase. See here, the price was originally here, and then now the price is here. So the price will always increase. It will definitely occur, this price increase. But whether the output, the direction of the change in output, that's unknown. And that depends on the actual values of the increase and the reduction. So D is the correct answer.